Reader's Theater performance to Bradley Cobbin. He was the Kodiak High School Club's first club president and first TDF team captain, who sadly lost both his grandfather and uncle to the sinking of the Scandis Rose on New Year's Eve 2019.
Second, this Reader's Theater is based on a real tragic event as told by the survivors.
As such, it includes some very strong language that we feel is important to leave in the script to honor the real emotion one experiences when facing death.
And to honor Kodiak and Alaska fishermen who survive every year to provide food for us.
Audience ready?
Then let's go back to New Year's Eve, 2019.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you. Come on! Let's go!
Let's go! The boat is sinking! Let's go!
So, about what time you woke the captain?
Gary Cobbin?
You woke Gary up at about 7:15 p.m., you said?
Yeah, probably, yes.
Okay, what time did the Mayday go out?
My timeline was all fucked up, but time flies.
Yeah, it goes really slow.
I guess. When you're gonna fucking die.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
How many crew on board?
There was 6 of us, and the skipper, so a total of 7.
Could you run through their names real quick?
Gary Cobbin, Brock, Art, Seth, the cook, and then David, Gary's son, Dean, and myself.
Before you departed, what were your initial impressions of the boat?
I've always seen the Scandis rows out in the bay, and it's always been, looks to be a well-kept boat in my opinion.
The boat was an excellent fishing vessel.
It was a warship.
It was a Cadillac.
That is the last boat I thought would ever sink.
Anything about the crew strike you?
No, the only thing that struck me funny was the amount of bad dreams I was having on that boat.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
The Coast Guard is seeking help from the public in its investigation of a fishing vessel that was lost off the Alaska Peninsula along with 5 crew members.
The Scandis Rose sank on New Year's Eve 2019, about 170 miles west of Kodiak Island while en route to fish for Pacific cod.
2 fishermen, John Lawler and Dean Gribble, were rescued wearing survival suits on a life raft.
But the other 5 crew members were never found.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
I'm Dee.
I'm Cody.
I'm Jillian.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Scout.
I'm Jenny Lynn.
I'm Mary Grace.
And this is The Tragedy of the Scandis Rose.
A program compiled from the National Transportation Safety Board hearing testimony of
John Lawler, survivor.
Dean Gribble, survivor. Jerry Cobbin Kanagan, the captain's sister.
Articles from KMX Teen Kodiak, KTUU in Juneau, KUCB in Dutch Harbor.
National Fisherman Magazine, FisheryNation.com, MontanaRightNow.com, Anchorage Daily News.
And interview transcripts from the U.S. Coast Guard.
and the Marine Board of Investigation.
Because
You don't leave the boat. The boat leaves you.
Could you describe Gary's mindset and how he felt about fishing on the Scandis Rose, please?
He absolutely loved fishing. He couldn't see himself doing anything different. He couldn't see himself off the boat. He loved the Scandis Rose.
Could you talk through Gary's approach as a captain?
Usual captain stuff. That effing crew didn't get that done, didn't get this done. I'm pulling my hair out trying to get them going.
Could you talk through your nephew David's experience fishing?
He grew up in Kodiak, so he grew up with a fishing family. Gary was harder on David than he was on any other crew member. My dad said to David,
I know your dad's really hard on you, but just like I was hard on him, but it's because he wants you to be a better fisherman than he is. Just like he's a better fisherman than I am.
Arthur Ganasius, the Scandis engineer. For Art, it was nothing but boats and fishing and cars, including his 1971 Dodge Charger.
Brock Rainey, crew member, who was to be engaged to Ashley Boggs.
he called me later that night, and he told me he couldn't wait to get back to me. We were gonna start our lives together, and everything was supposed to be perfect.
Seth Russo Gano, a crew member, a crabber from Washington State.
John Lawler, a survivor, a crabber from Anchorage.
Dean Gribble, a survivor, began salmon tendering when he was 11 years old. He spent the past 21 years crab fishing.
I was born a fisherman. It's in my blood. Kids grew up having football or baseball players as their heroes. And I grew up having crabbers as my heroes.
The weather on New Year's Eve 2019 was typical of a strong storm.
The forecast that night called for heavy freezing spray, a condition that causes ice to build up on crab pots and hulls and can make a boat more likely to capsize.
With strong currents,
strong winds.
30-foot
And
waves.
dicey weather.
Everyone is wondering about the icing conditions.
The standard routine would be slow the boat, turn it so it was going with the weather, get the guys out, start beating and banging on the ice to get rid of it. Then they would dump their pots, cut them loose and send them down, rather than lose the boat and risk their lives. You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
8 p.m., that's when John Lawler noticed the ice was around an inch.
It was the worst I ever saw.
Walk me through what happened.
Dean woke up Gary.
Dean told me that he mentioned something to Gary, like we're listening a bit to the starboard side.
10-15 minutes after that, the thing just really started to go.
I woke up in a panic.
I jumped out of my bunk in a panic and I ran upstairs.
And then the boat was shuddering a lot.
I thought my paranoid head was like, hey, that's something weird, you know?
The waves were splashing over me on the port side.
The boat was just kind of stagnant. You didn't even feel the
It
waves.
was kind of just sitting
It
there.
was acquiring more and more water and getting heavier.
The boat all of a sudden heeled over really hard and didn't come back.
And
I knew something was wrong.
This can't be happening.
I knew exactly what was happening.
I'm no dummy.
I ran upstairs and I go, what the fuck is going on?
There was no general alarm, nothing.
I think we're sinking. I think we're fucking sinking.
Fuck!
It was pure panic from there.
Dean came running up. He was getting on his survival suit.
I was getting
My
mine.
zipper's stuck.
It should have just went zip.
Why doesn't it zip? I was trying to get my suit on the ground, but I couldn't because I kept sliding towards the starboard
I had
side.
to jump on a bench and use the armrest as a foothold. I was able to get my suit on halfway, and the armrest I was using broke, and I started sliding down.
Gary was on the track.
He's screaming.
Call the fucking Coast Guard.
Call fucking Mayday!
Mayday!
And then you did one last transmission!
We are rolling over.
Mayday! You're rolling over!
We're going
down!
We're going down. We're going
A
down.
couple more guys got upstairs.
The engineer never made it
I
up.
finally got outside on the deck on my 4th
Other
try.
guys are running out. I'm screaming at them to get out of the boat.
Trying to find something to throw back in so that maybe they could use it to climb out.
But I couldn't find anything!
Everything's too icy.
I couldn't get anything!
I couldn't get
And
anything.
the generator shut off and the lights cut out.
It's loud and it's dark.
All you hear is the creaking of the steel.
The waves are slamming into the boat and it's sinking.
The boat is going down.
It's going too fast.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
Don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you.
Rob was begging me to help him put on his
I was
suit.
doing as much as I could, but my hands were already in my suit.
Just help me get my feet.
You've got to get your feet in so I can help you pull your hood over.
Hold the position.
And the boat just kept going.
And the writing was on the wall.
I was just trying to get them, so maybe they can find my body or something to get my family to get closure.
I knew I was going to die.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat. It leaves you.
I knew I had to get onto the front.
Get the hell out!
Gary made the Mayday call.
He started climbing back up towards us and fell.
Gary had fallen all the way back down.
He smacked the side of the boat. There was no way he was coming back up.
There was no way.
He insisted on going back to rescue the captain.
He had a chance to get into the lifeboat.
He chose to be a hero instead.
There was no way.
There was no way. I can hear everyone panicking.
People saying, oh my god.
Oh my god, we're gonna fucking die!
We're going to die.
What do we do next?
What do we grab next?
The boys were frozen to the rail. The whole boat was laying on its side.
That's when I knew.
It's going over.
He said,
We got to stick together. We're going to get through this.
David was standing at the door but didn't want to come
I
out.
was yelling at everyone.
The door was open, but no one was coming out.
What do we roll for?
we walked to where the scrubbers are.
We're hanging on to that. And we saw the house go down and the bow come up.
We tried to keep ourselves together by a piece of line.
We wanted to be prepared to go alongside the boat and then on top if we had
Follow the
to.
boat around.
When we were in town, Gary was saying that guys abandon ship, but don't leave the ship. The ship leaves you.
They found ships like that. All the crew gone, but the boat is still kind of bobbing off in the distance somewhere.
We thought it was going down. It never completely went down.
You don't leave the boat.
The boat leaves you. And we just started floating.
Now, I'm all alone in the dark.
Floating in 20, 30-foot seas.
Any fisherman's nightmare.
And I see the boat pencil.
Straight up and down in the air.
Now straight up in the air, and then it sinks.
Scandis Rose has always been a good boat.
Pretty unbelievable to see that boat go down.
Like the scene out of Titanic.
My heart drops.
I tried to do everything to get those guys out.
I tried everything.
I tried.
I tried.
I tried.
Don't
leave the boat. The boat leaves you.
When the boat rolled over, both life rafts deployed.
And then the wind blew them right at us.
The life raft. It came to me. It's just a beautiful, flowing life raft.
The most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
The flares were sinking.
There's 4 feet of water in this thing.
It popped underwater.
I swam as hard as I could and I just pulled myself in.
We kind of celebrated for a second.
And then I sat there and I listened for people.
Like maybe someone screaming or something.
You got to stick and stay.
If you're in a raft.
You got to stick and stay.
I don't know.
It was like
I should have done what, but I don't think there was much I could have done.
the other guys were pure panic.
There was no calming him down.
Hours later, I started to question things.
There should have been a chopper by now.
Nothing. They're not coming.
They're not coming!
We did everything we were supposed to do and now we're just gonna die in this raft.
They're not coming!
I didn't even know it was New Year's until we were in the raft in Dean Cove.
Well, by the way, Happy New Year's.
Way to bring that one in.
We had a flashlight. That's how we were actually able to signal the chopper.
The Coast Guard found Lawler and Gribble and took them to the hospital in Kodiak. They were treated for hypothermia.
They would not have survived if it wasn't for their survival suits and life raft.
The search for the Scandis Rose and her remaining crew was suspended less than 24 hours later due to extreme weather conditions.
The search spanned more than 20 hours and 1,400 square miles.
And then included 4 helicopter crews.
2 airplane crews.
And the Coast Guard cutter Melon.
Investigators concluded that the stability report for the Scandis Rose and icing on the vessel is not up to par.
The tremendous weight of ice forming on the deck of the Scandis Rose and other boats may not be fully accounted for in the stability reports.
The Scandis Rose rolled over due to ice buildup.
We need more regulations and their enforcement.
The marine industry is the wild west.
At the Kodiak harbor yesterday, a crowd gathered around the Fisherman's Memorial to pay respects to fishing families who have lost a loved one in the past year.
5 names on the list were from the Scandis Rose, a crab boat which sank on New Year's Eve last year.
A father and his son were among the 5 who died.
At the memorial, the bell tolled for 5 of the crew, including the captain.
Jerry Cobbin Knagan lost her brother and her nephew on the Scandis Rose.
I'm not standing alone. My sister isn't standing alone. My brother's children aren't standing alone. We all stand together.
Don't leave the boat. The boat leaves you.
Thank you.